You're listening to the No BS Bishop podcast. We're alive to love, and all other values are potential BS. Now here's your host, Bishop Randy Dean.
Welcome to you all. I'm Bishop Randy Dean here with you and thanking you in advance here for half an hour of your life and time. It is such an honor to me that people would tune in, give me their ear, give me their heart, give me your soul for just a little bit. Let me pour into it something about alive to love, that knowing all lesser values than love can potentially devolve into BS, which for me is about bait and switch, and it can be also about even deeper, worse kind of BS issues. But I just want to call out to the people who would give me an ear, give me a moment, give me a slice of your life so I can call out to your soul, to your heart. This episode, this podcast, this broadcast is going to be about this love thing. No church has a copyright. No one owns it or controls it. The source is God, and no one votes it in or votes it out. Now, that's not an original quote to me. That's from Presiding Bishop Michael Curry. Wonderful, powerful man. But I want to talk to you about that. No one votes love in or votes love out. It's really specifically part of the franchise, if you will, of church in the world. Jesus said we'd be known as his disciples if we love. So let's get about that. That's where I'm going today on Bishop Michael Curry's words, which inspire me deeply. So in order to get there, I want to lead you in a couple of exercises here, spiritually speaking, to get you to have a center, a place to just sit, be still, and tune in, dial into this message of being alive to love. Now, to do that, I'll lead you in the Lord's Prayer in just a moment. And in following that, I want to lead you in Love's Creed, a little creed that I wrote for myself as a New Year's resolution many years ago. But I want to offer it to you as a stabilizing force for your thoughts, all right? So, right to the Lord's Prayer, the most prayed prayer in human history, a prayer that is prayed by millions and millions of people over 2,000 years. Isn't that incredible? And I believe it's a prayer that will be incrementally and majestically answered because it comes from Jesus. He gets his prayers answered. So if you know it, pray along with me. If you don't, listen in and tune in to the power of the Lord's Prayer in the wisdom when Jesus taught us to pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. There you have it. There's a good stabilizing place to stand in order to gain understanding. Now, for a little touch more of understanding, nothing as deep as the Lord's Prayer, but it's just as deep as what comes from my heart, is this meditation, Love's Creed. Let me read it to you in total, then I'll go back and ask you to repeat after me. Here it is. I'm alive to love. I am not on this earth for hate. I'm alive for love. I'm not breathing, eating, and sleeping to regain energy for causing pain. I am alive with plans, dreams, and designs, locked into anything and everything that is love. I am unavailable for anything less than love. All right, now repeat after me. Let me give you little tidbits of it, and then you say it out loud so that your soul can hang on some of the truths that are inherent here. Here we go. Repeat after me. I'm alive to love. I am not on this earth for hate. I'm alive for love. I'm not breathing, eating, and sleeping to regain energy for causing pain. I am alive with plans, dreams, and designs, locked into anything and everything. That is love. I am unavailable for anything less than love. All right, there you have it. If you'd like a copy of that, you can email me at randydeanministries@gmail.com. That's Randy Dean Ministries, all one word, all lowercase, and I'd be happy to send you a copy. No BS, no bait and switch. I'm not trying to get you on a mailing list. I get so weary and tired of spiritual, faith, Christian groups that use this kind of bait and switch to get people on a mailing list so they can hound them with texts and calls and emails for money. That's not me. I won't do that to you. And certainly if you want to support what we're doing here, it's always appreciated, but I'm not here to bait and switch you. So, to the subject for today, I'm so impressed with Presiding Bishop Michael Curry's words when he said, "This love thing, no church has a copyright. No one owns it or controls it. The source is God. No one votes it in or out." Whew, there's a whole lot there, right? Michael Curry's on to something with that. Now, an ancillary or related quote would be from one of my favorite authors, Felicia Murrell, who wrote The Restorative Power of Love, and a couple of other books about love. I'm such a fan of her, and I hope you can tell, I'm a big fan of the subject of love. I've been beating this drum for a very long time, and even increasingly over the past half a dozen years, to tell you that there's just one truth that needs to be unfolded and grabbed with both hands and launched into our soul, our thinking, our way of life. And that will then create all kinds of other related beauties in our life. But for me, knowing what love is explodes into a whole universe of other revelation and understanding. Anyway, Felicia Murrell, that's how I got started in that little tangent. She said this: "I think the broad, sweeping generalizations on both sides are killing us all." She's talking about our culture here in 21st century America. "And the evil one stands on the sidelines laughing, feeling victorious, because he's orchestrated hate, discord, division, fear, and tension among the members of the human race, using fear and blame to target and destroy the beloved community. But instead of having recognized the real enemy, we just keep fighting ourselves. As a race of people, we've made winning about dominating and controlling instead of living peaceably among all in submission and deference to one another. Our suspicions and our lack of trust beckon us to create hierarchies that control, maim, and keep people in their place. We emasculate people we deem as a threat to our power, using dominance to force compliance." Now, listen to this last phrase of her quote from The Restorative Power of Love. "As a society, we've made life about being right instead of being loved." Drop the microphone, would you? I can't drop mine. It's on a very secure spot. So you just metaphorically drop a mic. We've made life about being right instead of about being loved. And Presiding Bishop Michael Curry said, no one votes in love or votes it out. No one owns or controls it. No church has a copyright on love. So let's get about it. I know that there are those ideas that float around me, and I've addressed it here off and on through the years in my radio broadcast and now this podcast, No BS Bishop. I know people seem to think that we can love. Yes, let's love, but we've got to get about the more serious issues. Like, there are political problems, there are societal problems, we've got cultural problems. Let's talk about love now and then to remind ourselves, but let's get after the real issues. And I've been saying here very clearly, I believe the real issues are all found back into the nuclear core of the power of love activated inside of us. That when we own and embrace and pursue love with a ferocity, a real passion, I've said here in the last few weeks to preach love like it's hellfire and brimstone, only in this case it's heaven fire and the brimstone of God's power and beauty and love. To go after love as if our life depended on it. And I'm convinced our life does depend on love. I truly believe every one of us, every one of you listening, myself included as I'm talking, we have suffered love deprivations in multiple ways. And we go about life, we grow through our childhood and into adulthood, and we've learned to accommodate those love deprivations, deficiencies, as if they were normal. And then we act out in aberrant ways and twisted ways, great or small. And then we wonder why our life is spiraling out of painful, violent control when we don't get some sort of a challenge to those deprivations of love in us. And I'm telling you, find a way. Maybe it's through a 12-step group of Codependence Anonymous. Maybe it's a 12-step group in Alcoholics Anonymous. Listen, I got involved with AA not as an alcoholic or a drug addict, but because as a codependent many, many, many years ago, I recognized the 12 steps of AA were vital for my personal value system and recovery to pull myself out of the pains of my own love deprivations that were leading me to bad mental habits, bad emotional habits, even bad spiritual habits. So AA really has brought a powerful sense of recovery for me, not as an alcoholic, but as a person who grew up in a home where addictions were profound and really spiraling out of control. I'm asking you, join me in the pursuit of recognizing where love has been lost in your life, where you've been deprived of the significance and the value of love. And it can be just as simple as having had parents or immediate family who were cold, not mean, not abusive in an outright way, but just cold and indifferent. I've heard, as I've taught on this, I've heard people say, well, I never heard people say I love you in my family, but I never really thought much about it, that we just didn't carry on like that. We just didn't make it a daily occurrence for us. And of course, then I find out later, I talk to them and I find out that, well, it wasn't not just a daily occurrence or a weekly or a monthly, maybe even an annual occurrence, to just hear somebody say, hey, kid, I love you. Now, I know that's the simplicity of how love can get generated in a group setting. But if love is the nutrition for our soul and our mind and our spirit, if love really does create the human experience in an expansive way, then it seems to me, I'm not trying to break your arm or push you over a cliff here. I am trying to lift you up and take you by the hand and pull you towards something more satisfying in life, and that thing is called love. Finding daily priorities, like in my Love's Creed, that keep love on the table, that keeps love in my to-do list, into my to-say list, in my prioritization of how love lives in this world. And like Felicia Murrell said, unfortunately, as a society, we've made life about being right instead of about being loved. And when society says the normal is to prove how right you are and how wrong others are, well, we don't just act like that out there in the political world or in the business world or in the workaday world. We act like that when we're sitting at home with our significant others, our loved ones, our wife, our husband, our children, our aunties, our uncles, just anybody you spend life with. If life isn't prioritized toward being loved instead of being right, well, then the fight is on to be right about everything. Shut up, sit down, listen to me. Let's talk. That's kind of an aberrant way of describing what Felicia Murrell is saying here. We've made life about being right instead of being loved. Going back to Presiding Bishop Michael Curry when he said this love thing. No church has a copyright. The last few weeks as I've recorded here, I've been talking about the church and how to live love higher than any heaven, deeper than any hell. To carry love forward as a living thing. And to have as a church, I don't want to spend much time here now talking about the church because I've spent the last 2 weeks just on that one subject, but Bishop Curry is onto something that we just can't eliminate love from the doctrinal, theological, eschatological, hermeneutic. Yeah, those are all words. I look them up. We just can't afford to set love outside of how we navigate this thing we call church. This thing we call church doesn't have a copyright on love, which is to say it can be expressed in a whole lot of different ways. It can be expressed and said and practiced in a whole bevy, a trainload, an ocean liner of bounties, love. To move it aside from all of our gyrations that we're, especially here in the United States of America, we're just pummeling each other to death emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually by choosing sides and saying, well, my idea of love is the right idea, yours is wrong. But see, Bishop Curry says nobody owns it or controls it. The source of love is God. Nobody votes that in or out, right? God is God all by God's self. Big and beautiful, magnificent and creative. I like to call God a divine entrepreneur, an artist, a divine majesty of creativity, so that in the expansiveness and the beauty of God's genius and entrepreneurial stretch, love is God. God is love. I say that almost every day of my life in some format to somebody's question. If you want to know God, get to know love. Go into the recesses of all the definitions of love that you have and ask yourself very clear questions, very intentional questions about your love deprivations. Where has love been withheld? Not necessarily in an abusive way, though it lands in an abusive sort of setting. But I'm not talking about people intentionally punishing you by deciding not to love you. That could happen. But as is the case for most of us, love is withheld incidentally out of sheer neglect or out of, if you will, just some laziness that we don't see the grand vista of how love can create life as it was intended to be lived. And Bishop Curry says, nobody votes that in or out. You know, we're in a time here in the United States where we're just convinced if we get the right political party in, then we're going to fix everything. And I just got bad news for you. That is patently false. It is just patently not true. It's not because I'm a political expert. It's because I'm a human being, been on the planet for 72 years, and I have watched politics eating itself away in this country. And as a kid, watching the political gyrations that went on when I was a little guy, and hearing firsthand as a child about the assassination of President Kennedy and all the other things that happened with the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. and the violence that was going on in our country at the time. And then I coupled that with my own personal experience as a little guy growing up in a home that was in a petri dish of dysfunction. I was assimilating a lot of lovelessness. My love deprivation was high. And it took me the rest of my life to say, wait a minute, something missing in my life. And that's something I've discovered is love. And so now in my 70s, I'm fully intending to finish my life pounding this drum, beating this spiritual piano, playing this guitar of love and making sure the song, the music, the expansiveness, the beauty of it is carried forward because, as I was referencing earlier, there is no political party with a monopoly of understanding love. None of them. No politician understands it all enough so that we can always say, oh, it's that side that knows what love is, that I'll always vote for that. Bishop Curry says, no, it doesn't work like that. You can't vote love in and you can't vote love out. And if political parties decide they will not be loving, well, then love will reign supremely above the political noise. And that's part and parcel of what I'm really about. Let's live love far and away above all the rancorous, noisy, poisonous vitriol, and make love this orchestration of human beauty, of human creativity, to see to it that we're being people in primarily small daily habits. To stand in a line. I do a part-time job at a hospital clinic, and I see long lines of people at the pharmacy and the clinic, or coming and going to other iterations of our health system. And I see long lines, and I see people knowingly having to stand there quite a while to wait their turn. And I think often of my experience in life of standing in a line, looking at my watch, or maybe if I'm stood in a line in a health clinic and feeling terrible and wondering, can I keep standing here or not? How much more time do I have before I puke or worse? And man, I need help right now. And I'm saying this all to you to encourage you and challenge you and me to live love loud even when I'm standing in a line. To ask myself, what does love do right now? Right? That's what I mean. This is how we build love into our life and into our thinking. And like Bishop Curry said, no one owns it or controls it. The source is God. To turn to God on the inner world of my life and to say, God, what does love look like right now? When I would otherwise want to be infuriated or fall on the floor and cry or throw a tantrum, may my meditation be love while I stand in a line. One of my most common frustrations is anytime I get a customer service phone interaction and I find myself caught in the no man's land, the Sahara Desert of, hold on, we'll play music that will drive you stark raving crazy until you have a wait time of 15 minutes. And they told me that 15 minutes ago. I despise that sort of catch-22. But I'm learning, and I'm asking you, join me, let's learn. What does love look like right then? And I'll tell you, for instance, love looks like that next person, the human being that I get on a customer service line, they've been making their living doing that. And everybody they talk to is aggravated to the ceiling. Everybody they talk to is feeling completely lost and droned off into a elevator music hell. And so that person may or may not have anything left inside their emotional tank to deal with me. So I have to learn, and I'm talking about me right now, I have to learn, what does love look like right now with this unknown person on the other side of this telephone line? So that's how I'm trying to bring this to bear with you today, that Bishop Curry's quote is this love thing. No church has a copyright. No one owns it or controls it. The source is God. No one can vote it in, and no one can vote it out. And Felicia Murrell's quote about, as a society, well, somehow we've made life about being right instead of being loved. So, as I bring this to a close, I want to give you some exercises to help you. It helps me to stop making life about being right. Make life about being loved and being loving. To let love come in so that love can rush out from me. So the first thing I want to invite you to do is to get comfortable, sit up as straight as you can. Take a good, healthy inhale. Hold that breath down against your diaphragm, up against your belly. Don't raise your shoulders. Just inhale on the count of 3 and hold it. 1, 2, 3. Inhale. Hold it. And exhale. That calms you, lowers your blood pressure, lowers your emotional temperature, gives you a slight respite, a tiny sabbatical to be at peace and to let love in. Next thing I want to challenge you with is something I'm known for, and that is knowing how to say the 3 most holy, magical, and charmed words in the human language, yeah? If you've been with me before, you know where I'm going. I ask people to learn this as a lifestyle. That's so much a part of what I'm talking about today, a lifestyle of love. To look people in the eye, find the courage, disruption of your own soul, the disruption of your own anxieties, and to say the 3 most holy, magical, and charmed words in the human language. I love you. Can you imagine the disruption throughout a society if thousands and thousands and thousands of us learned to do that? Again, we've made life about being right, and we're not even thinking about being loved, and we're just fighting. We're just wrestling. We're struggling. We're battling people as much as verbally as anything. What if we put down our swords and picked up the magic of saying, I love you? I know this. I know that the disruption and the awkwardness of that, I know it firsthand. I've lived with helping people say it. I've lived with people who just don't want to hear it because it's so unnerving. And all of that to say, it's worth the effort here. It genuinely is to me. And I'm asking you, join me in this little, I don't know if you want to call it a protest, this march for life lived for love alone. Well, I'm challenging you to join me in recognizing that the biggest mistake we make is thinking we still got time. But I'm challenging you, come on, be present, be kind, love more, love now. There are people all around us living with significant love deprivation, and just one somebody showing up with a determination to be a loving human being could save a life. I'm serious about it. I mean that. Mother Teresa said, go into the world today and love the people you meet. Let your presence light new light in the hearts of others. Well, I'm not Presiding Bishop Michael Curry. I'm not Felicia Murrell. I'm not Mother Teresa. I'm Randy Dean. No BS Bishop. Alive to love. I'm asking you. I'm pleading with you. Let's be intentional about this thing of turning this whole, this anxious fighting across these philosophical and political trenches. As a society, we've made life about being right instead of being loved. Turn this ship around. It's going to take time. It's going to take effort. It's going to take all of us on some level. But if you can't get everybody, then get somebody. Help me turn this around. Help me make a U-turn in this narrow road of life. The U-turn is this. Let's stop fighting to be right. Let's not fight. Let's be about being loved and being loving, folks. Let's change the world one breath at a time. Bishop Randy Dean here with you. I'm the No BS Bishop because I'm alive to love, and I believe lesser values than love are potential bait and switch. BS. Happy trails, y'all, and God bless you. And listen to me. I love you.
Thanks for listening to the No BS Bishop podcast. If you like the show, leave a comment on it. Or, even better, share it with your friends. And we'll see you on the next one.